Good morning, fifth graders. This week we are going to continue with our fractions, and we are going to be able to understand and apply the relationship between fractions, mixed numbers, and division expressions. Today we're going to focus on the relationship between division expressions and fractions. This is something we've already talked about a little bit this year, understanding that when we see a division expression and a fraction, we know that the fraction bar separating the numerator and the denominator means the same thing as that division symbol. So what you're going to see today is a division expression like this, 3 divided by 5, and we're going to think, well, what would 3 divided by 5 be, and how could we represent it? And we can show it as a fraction. So if we're thinking 3 divided by 5 equals what? We are going to look at this division expression and say to ourselves, well, in a fraction, we have the numerator divided by the denominator. In a division expression, we can see that as well. Our first number, our dividend, divided by our second number, our divisor. So we can take a division expression like 3 divided by 5 and rewrite it as 3/5. We can see that we have our numerator is our first number, and our denominator is our second number. In math, we read from left to right and top to bottom, just like when we're reading. So 3 divided by 5 can be written as 3/5. We could even read a fraction as 3 divided by 5. So we know when we do 3 divided by 5, our answer is going to be less than 1 because 3 is smaller than 5. And we can see that right here because we have a fraction, 3/5. 3/5 is less than 1 because it is a fraction. It is a proper fraction. We can show this the other way too. So we can start with a fraction like 7/8 and say, well, how could we write that as a division expression? Remember, our fraction bar can also mean divided by. So 7/8 could be rewritten as 7 with our numerator divided by our denominator, 8. 7/8 is the same thing as 7 divided by 8. This fraction bar can be read as divided by. These are the things we're going to look at today. In some problems, you're going to do what I just did. You're going to take a fraction like this, 7/8, and rewrite it as a division expression like this, 7 divided by 8. You put the numerator divided by the denominator. Other problems that you're going to do are going to look like this. You're going to get a story problem and you're going to show how you can turn that division expression into a fraction. So this says, Mrs. Almond made 4 blueberry cobblers. She is splitting them between 5 of her friends. What fraction of cobbler does each friend get? So right here we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 cobblers. Because Mrs. Almond is splitting them between 5 friends, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ovals. And you can see that I have already taken her cobblers and cut them into fifths because she's splitting them between 5 friends, and we want her friends to have an equal amount. So I'm going to show you how we would do that. We are going to take 1/5 at a time and give it to each of her 5 friends. So I'm going to put 1 here, 1 here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to fit it in the little spots left for you. Again, I've already split this one into fifths to make sure each friend gets an equal amount. So notice when I take 1 whole cobbler and split it with each friend, I use up that whole cobbler because I split it into the number of friends that there are. So I've split 1 cobbler, and then I do the next. And I keep going until all of the cobblers are split evenly between Mrs. Almond's 5 friends. So then I want to see, okay, well, how much does each friend have now? Now these aren't perfect, but I can tell when I look here that each friend has less than one whole cobbler because I still have this dashed part right here that they don't have. And I can count how much each person got. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5. So each friend got 4 pieces out of a possible 5. So 4 divided by 5 is the same as 4/5. You're going to do problems just like this. You have 2 problems to do just like this where you're going to show when you split evenly what that division expression looks like as a fraction. You're also going to have problems where you don't have pictures, you just have to turn it into a fraction and simplify. You'll notice this says write the division expression as a fraction in simplest form. So when we do 8 divided by 20, when we do that division expression as a fraction, we read left to right, top to bottom. So our 8 is our numerator. Our 20 is our denominator. 8 divided by 20 is the same as 8/20. But then I have to simplify. Remember, to simplify, you list the factors of the numerator and the denominator to find the greatest common factor. 1 times 8 for factors of 8, and 2 times 4. Those are all my factors of 8. My factors of 20, I always start with 1 and the number itself. It's an even number, so I know 2 is a factor. 2 times 10 is 20. And I know that 4 times 5 is 20, so 4 and 5 are factors. My greatest common factor between these two is 4. That means I'm going to divide both my numerator and my denominator by 4 to put this in simplest form. 8 divided by 4 is 2, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. So what we're seeing here is all 3 of these are equivalent. 8 divided by 20 is the same thing as 8/20, which is the same thing as 2/5. So you're going to do problems like this as well. So you have problems like what I first showed you where you turn the fraction into a division expression, and there's an example for you right here. 2 problems where you're splitting the actual picture into the groups and then showing your fraction. And then you have problems where you are writing your division expression as a fraction and simplifying. And then you have problems where you are on your own going to simplify a fraction, take a picture to put your work right here, and then you rate yourself. Make sure you submit your slides on Schoology when you're done.